Good morning and welcome to beautiful Pickett, Wisconsin on the 3rd day of August 2026. It is a spectacular day to do anything outside. Its temperature is in the upper 70s. Seems fairly low humidity maybe, but there's a little bit of a breeze. Beautiful blue skies, not a single cloud, and it's just spectacular. So, with all that said, the engine I'm going to be running today dates back to 1974, 75 time frame, and this is an Enya 40 TV twin valve, twin needle. No, it's an Enya 40 model 6002. I think they call it TV for throttle valve as opposed to control line. I don't know exactly what their terminology is. It's a Enya 40 model 6002. Now I have had several of the model 6001s before on the channel, and those date back to like 1967. This is a 6002. I just noticed when I was setting it up, it doesn't have a nipple for tank pressure, so we're not going to be using that. This is going to be an incredibly boring run. And I say that because, as far as I know, this engine has never been run. And this is an engine that was a collaborative effort between me and my buddy Jeremy. And I don't remember the exact details. I believe that I paid for this engine, but Jeremy actually bought it and had it sent to me. Now, why that would be, the only thing I can think of why that would be is there are a few eBay sellers that refuse to sell to me for some reason. They won't even accept messages or anything. So if that's where I got this, in your face, because I've got other ways to get your engines. So anyway, that's the best I can come up with. And the video I showed this engine in was put out in October of 2025. So this engine has waited a while for me to get around to running it. So this is going to be a break-in run. To my best knowledge, I don't believe that Enya two-stroke engines have ever been made in an AAC or an ABC construction. And now, I think the 40CX may have been an AAC. Maybe. But for the most part, all of their two-stroke engines are cast or lapped iron piston design, which means it's not an ABC and it's not a ringed engine, which means it requires a completely different break-in than an ABC engine, which is relatively fast, or a ringed engine, which is relatively fast. This cast iron piston thing takes a while. And there's a fellow in in England. His name is Adrian Duncan, who's got a lot of good technical articles, and he's written many things about, an article on how to break in these engines. And the key is heat cycling. In his article, and I'll stop here for a moment and post the guts or the gist of what he is saying about this. Is that use a prop that's a little bit lighter than what you would fly with, and only set this thing for at least 4 heat cycles to a blubbering 4-stroking setup, and just below where it starts to sound like it's running in 2-stroke mode. And he says just run it for 5 minutes like that and then let the engine cool completely. He also says that it's best with this style of engine to use fuel that contains a higher oil content. Now my fuel always contains at least 20%, so that's going to be what it is. And the other thing that's going to be interesting about this is Artem, this is your Sky Spirit 10.5 prop. So I'm thinking a 10.4 would be, or 10.6 would be normal, 10.5 is a little bit lighter. I had to pick an engine to test this prop. So that's the other portion of this video, is to actually test this beautiful prop that Artem sent me to follow up on the review I did of those props. Now, since this is going to be a break-in run, and I'm probably not even going to bother with RPM readings, the only way that Artem, that your prop can fail me at all is if it just disintegrates and blows up on camera. I don't anticipate that happening, so all I can say is I'm sure this prop is going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. So with all that said, Artem's 10.5 Spirit Sky, or Sky Spirit prop, a used OS number 8 glow plug and my 5% fuel. I do not anticipate too many issues here. Now, this is an air bleed carb. I've got the air bleed screw set to covering about 50% of the hole, which is always a good starting place. And I believe I've got this high-speed needle set to about 2 turns from full. So let's prime it. Seems like it's taking a prime rather well. It does have a throttle stop screw, and I've got that set also. But like I said, this is a break and run. I'm not probably going to be doing a whole lot of different gyrations with it. Is that going to turn this thing? I might have to flip my cone over. So with all that said, let's fire this thing up. What I would call so that when I had this still on there, that would have been what I would have considered 4-stroking it, but I don't want to run this whole 5-minute cycle with this on, so I need to lean it out to a point where it will run in that mode and stay running without that. Okay, interesting. It appears that I really need a gasket there. That's interesting that it would just die like that. I just leaned it like 3 clicks. Okay, I was going to say I'm just going to let it run for about 2 minutes. It's really hot, but I'm going to let it cool. So I'm going to do several heat cycles here. They may not be for 5 minutes at a time because of how much fuel and how rich this is how much fuel it's taking. I'm going to fire it up one more time and continue this. I'm going to still call it the first heat cycle. I'm going to call that one heat cycle. Let this engine cool completely and then do another one of these. Okay, heat cycle number 2. Engine is ice cold right now. The compression feels different. It's loosened up some. So I don't know if I really need to prime it. I was actually going to see if I could hand start this thing. I think it would hand start if I primed it more, but let's just fire it up here. Or maybe it wouldn't have hand started anyway because of the throttle setting. The one thing that Adrian doesn't say in his, at least I didn't see it in the article on breaking these in, is the throttle setting. So I am just going by running it at full throttle and keeping it at that burbling 4-stroke period, and you could kind of hear it wanting to go to 2-stroke mode where it kind of go, you could hear the pitch change periodically. And I leaned it one click, but I just richened it that click now. So I'm going to finish this heat cycle up here. I'm going to call that heat cycle number 2. And once again, let it cool off. I'm probably going to do one more heat cycle like this. And then I've got enough fuel left. And then on the 4th attempt, I'll actually start to lean this thing out and we'll get some higher RPM readings. I think it'll be safe to do that at that point. Okay, so here we are, heat cycle number 3. Now I know I'm not running this thing for 5 minutes like Adrian says to do, but I am allowing it to get hot up to operating temperature, which is really the key. It's not so much about a time period, it's about getting the engine hot. So this will be the 3rd one, then I'll let it cool one more time, and then on the 4th run here, I'll start tweaking it out and we'll see what this thing can do with this nice Sky Spirit propeller. Maybe it wants to have the igniter on there for a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to call that heat cycle number 3. And I'm going to let it cool down one more time. And then on this next heat cycle, we're going to start leaning it out a little bit and seeing what kind of idle we can get and do some more normal type stuff. You know, this Sky Spirit's propeller is just fantastic. It's beautiful and it's doing its job. Okay, so this engine has cooled down. This is the 4th heat cycle. I'm actually going to start leaning it out a little bit now. So let's see. Oops, my throttle popped off of here. Let's I didn't drill these holes out, so it's just kind of barely there. That's how new this engine was, is that nobody ever even actually drilled these little holes out because they're a little bit too small for a standard clevis. Where'd my nice star to go? I wonder if I can hand start this real quick just to kind of finish this out. I don't know if I really should do this though. No, I don't want to do that. Let's fire it up one more time. I think I got the throttle stop screw set a little bit too closed. Alright, I think we can call it good there. Again, I pulled it a little bit too close for the throttle stop screw, but that's okay. Just I want to take this off. It's this darn Sullivan. That Sullivan fuel filter is just a bit long to actually double itself on itself like that. Let me just run this fuel out real quick. Okay. Okay, so how many times can I say it after running an Enya engine? It's an Enya. Beautiful, beautiful engine. And during those cool down periods, I did contact my buddy Jeremy, and he reinforced or remembered exactly what the situation was with this. So this was one of those things where I saw this engine for a fantastic price. It looked brand new. I think it may have even been listed as new, but for whatever reason, I must have pissed off the seller in some time in the past, and he blocked me from buying anything from him, so that's his loss. Anyway, I got this engine for a really good price, and it's a really awesome engine, and I'll never get rid of it. So Jeremy, this one's mine. Beautiful engine. And this Sky Spirit propeller obviously didn't explode. It's beautiful. It looks wonderful out here in the sun with this nice coating on it. It is just spectacular. Just a spectacular day, spectacular engine. Just everything is wonderful. So thank you all for watching. Oh, so I want to wrap up by saying that yes, I did have it peaked out pretty good. I saw a max RPM of 11,980. It wasn't willing to hold that because it's not fully broken in. So I went ahead and I started richening it up a little bit, but still in a good two-stroke mode. So I'm convinced that this is well on its way to being broken in now, and when this thing comes out to run again, which it probably will at some point in the future, we will keep tweaking on it and see, or put smaller props on it also, and see what kind of RPM figures we can get. Thank you.